Welcome back. I hope you are doing great. In the previous lectures, we understood how do we read and write semi-structured file formats like CSV, JSON, Parquet and ORC file formats. The beauty of the Spark is it allows to read even the unstructured file formats like text files. As a part of this lecture, we'll understand how do we read from a text file and how do we write into a text file. Let's get started. As I indicated, Spark allows us to read plain text files. When you have a plain text files, each line in a text file becomes the record in the data frame. For example, you have a text file and this is the first line. Second, when you read this into a data frame, so as you know, as a part of the data frame, column name, this becomes the first record, this becomes the second record. Essentially, each line in file becomes a record in the data frame. Once you read the data or the text from a text file into a data frame, it is up to us to transform records into the way we want it. So, you have taken a data from a text file, read that into a data frame, then each line in a text file becomes the record in a data frame. Once you have the data frame, it is up to us how do we want to transform that. Maybe by using the regular expressions or some other functions, some other transformations, we can manipulate the whole data frame. We understood we can read a text file and we can create a data frame. But aren't you wondering what may be the use case or what are the use cases to read a text file and create a data frame and further subject that to a transformation? Can you think of the use cases? Here you go. Use cases are assuming that when you are working on an application, you tend to have a log files. You can take those log files and create a data frame, subject that to a transformation to derive some patterns. What may be the reason a particular application is failing, or what may be the reason a particular application is improving its performance or decreasing its performance. We'll be able to do all those kinds of analysis when we read a text file into a data frame and subject the data frame for further analysis. And also you can parse some plain text files for natural language processing. These are the use cases of reading a text file and subjecting that to further transformation depending upon the needs of the project. One more important aspect is text files make a great argument for the dataset API. Why is that? Dataset APIs have the ability to take the advantages of the flexibility of the native types. That is the reason it is a great argument for the dataset API. Now coming to the important aspect. How do we read the text files? It's straightforward. What you have to do is, instead of specifying the format, specify the text file in the place of format. You are done. Instead of reading some other format, you are directly reading a text file. That is how you read the text files. Let us look at an example. Here you go. This is a Spark session. We have a data frame reader, and instead of specifying the format, specify the text file and provide the path of a text file. One more important aspect if you observe here, while reading the text file, we can go ahead and provide some expression also. Here what we are trying to do is split the values based on the space. This is how we read the text file. And how about writing the text files? That is also pretty easy. We can write the text file by using the data frame writer, as we have done earlier while writing a different files. When you write a text file, one of the very important aspect you have to remember is we have to make sure that there is only one string column we are choosing to be written into a text file. Otherwise, it will fail. Let us look at an example. Here you go. This is the name of the data frame. Then select a column you want to write into text file. Then go ahead and use a data frame writer. Provide the path to which you want to write this text files. Wonderful. We understood how do we read and write into text files. We will see in action how do we read the text files. What I have done is I have created a simple text file. We can use that text file and create a data frame. Okay. The name of the file is grit.txt, and I have typed some different lines here. If you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, around 11 lines are there. We'll use this text file and create a data frame. How do we do that? We'll name the data frame name as df flight text. Then come out with the Spark session, then read attribute to access the data frame reader. Then instead of giving the format, all you got to do is give a text here and provide the path where your text file is there. Let me copy the path where the text file is there. This is the path. Provide the name of the file. We are all set. Let's go ahead and execute this. Let me show this data frame. As we have discussed, each line in the file becomes a record in the data frame. That is what has happened. You can see one line in a file has become a record in a data frame. We can do one more thing as a part of reading a text file. We'll experiment that. If you see, what we are doing here is we are reading a text file, and within the text file we are trying to split the values based on the space between the words. Let's go ahead and execute this. Let us look at our data frame. If you see, within the record, wherever the space is between the two words, all of them are separated by the comma. Because when we are trying to read a file, we specified split the value based on the space. That is the reason. But that is happening within the record. All in all, whenever we are trying to read the data from a text file, one line in a text file would become a one record in a data frame. And on top of that, if you want to split the values within the text file based on some indicator, it can be a space, it can be comma, it can be whatever pertinent to that particular project. We can do that as well while reading the data from a text file. Wonderful. Now that we understood how do we create the data frame by reading the text files, we'll do the other things. That is, how do we take a data frame and write that into a text file. We are already acquainted with our df flight. Go ahead and reuse the same code and create a data frame called df flight. We created, as you know, these are the 3 columns. Now we'll take the column from this flight and write it into a text file. How do you do that? I am using a df flight as the data frame, selecting one of the column from this data frame and using a write attribute to access the data frame writer and specifying the format as a text. After that, I am specifying the path I want to write into. Let me go ahead and execute this. There you go. Let's go ahead and check if we have a file here. Yes, we do have. If we get into this folder and look at, we do have a file. Let's look at what are the contents of this file. Yeah, you can see one of the column is written into file. Now, let us try to write one more column and see what happens here. Any idea what may happen if you try to write one more column? Can you recollect? See, destination country 1. It will fail because we'll be able to write only one column from a data frame into a text file. It will fail. It says text data source supports only a single column and you have 2 columns selected as a part of your data frame. Remember, we'll be able to write only one string column from a data frame into a text file. Wonderful. We have seen how do we read a text file and how do we write into a text file. Do practice. Thank you.